Welcome into another episode of SPECTOR and SPOOKS podcast. I am your host, Brooke Ashley, Evidential Medium, and today I'm very excited because I have one of my favorite people in the world on, and she is an incredible psychic medium, a Reiki practitioner, mentor, and all of the above, a great, wonderful friend, Virginia Belliveau. Welcome in, Virginia.
Hey, thanks for having me. I'm so happy to be here.
I know, it's fun. I'm like, yay, because I know that I had you on the podcast with Michael, but I haven't had you on here yet. So I'm like really excited because I feel like we get another chance to chat.
Yeah.
So why don't
you chat with you?
I love it. It can go on forever. So why don't you tell the viewers who are new to you, who have not met you before, a little bit about yourself and kind of just like what got you into this space?
Yeah. So my name is Virginia. I'm a psychic medium. I do evidential mediumship like Brooke does. We met because we had some of the same mentors. So that's how we originally met. But I'm located in Austin, Texas. And like Brooke said, I do all the things. I'm a Reiki healer, evidential medium. I do like events around town. I do gallery readings. I mentor students, so a little bit of everything. But I had a spiritual awakening a couple years ago, and it kind of just, I didn't know that this is where I would end up, but I just followed the breadcrumbs, and mediumship is ultimately where it took me. So just, honestly, never saw this coming.
I love it. I feel like that's usually the story for most mediums out there, but
yeah, it is.
I feel like I know that you kind of started with Reiki.
Yes.
So do you feel like Reiki and you moving into a space of energetic healing and understanding energy, do you feel like that played a bigger role in you becoming a medium, or do you feel like that would have happened regardless of that?
Honestly, I feel like it's the reason why, because my motive or intention and wanting to start practicing Reiki was because I needed to sense energy in a way that was palpable for me to understand. Because it's like when we're in school, we learn about energy and how it can never be destroyed and it can only change form and and ice cubes and heat. And it's like, okay, but what does that mean when it comes to human energy? What does it mean when it comes to emotions and sensing energy that you can't see? So I wanted to experience what it actually felt like to send healing energy to somebody's body and be able to tap in and see what their energy felt like. And it was a big, huge determining factor in me ultimately being able to decipher between what was mine and what belonged to somebody else. And once I learned that and learned how to kind of, I don't like to use the word manipulate it, but I could move it, I could shift it, I could clear it out, right? And so when I started noticing other things in my awareness, I was like, this is interesting, you know?
Yeah, definitely. I think one of the things that I love the most about you, knowing who you are as a medium and knowing how you work, I think it's so interesting because I feel like you and I have the same belief systems.
Yeah.
We came up with a lot of the same teachers, but we're so different in the way that we experience the spirit world. It's really fun to talk about sometimes because I know I always talk about the fact that I'm the medium that's always in the off position. Like I do not get bothered. It's not like they just walk up to me. That just doesn't happen to me. I have to flip the switch and be like, okay, time to work. Well, you're the opposite. So you do have spirit like coming to you, being like, hey, tapping you on the shoulder, trying to get your attention. So talk to people a little bit about how you were able to start sensing the difference between just jumbled energy and anxiety as opposed to, oh my gosh, somebody's grandpa standing here. He's trying to tell me a story. Like, how did that shift for you to where you were able to notice, okay, I have a spirit here, not right now. You're going to have to come back later.
Mm-hmm. Because it would just come out of nowhere. Like I would start, and the way that they come in for me is they actually touch my body. So parts of my body will start like lighting up, or will start to feel like electric, or like someone's touching my shoulder. Like sometimes it just feels like someone's like, hey, and I can feel where they are in conjunction to my body. And so I'll just be doing something completely unrelated. And then all of a sudden I'm noticing this feeling next to me that wasn't there a minute ago. And it's like, it actually has like a form. Like, it's not just like this little tiny patch on my body that feels different. It's like the whole side of my body feels different and cold or tingly. You know what I mean? So that's kind of a big difference. And so, yeah, it happened a lot more, I would say, in the beginning of my journey with all of this and my awakening and whatnot. It does still happen though. I will still do a reading and connect to someone's loved one. And then I think I'm fully disconnected, but they're like still at my house. And I'm like, oh, I thought you left. And it can happen before I even do a reading. Like sometimes that actually happens more often than not, where someone will show up and be like, I'm here for the reading. And I'm like, it's not for like 3 more hours. So I have to tell them to come back, but I don't know what it is. It doesn't really bother me as long as they just follow and respect what I'm asking them to do, you know?
Yeah, definitely. I just think it's so interesting with mediums that have to create those types of boundaries, because
Yeah.
I've gotten lucky that I haven't had to have my boundaries are different.
Yeah.
So I think that it's really interesting to hear that aspect and have a medium who does deal with that, because I feel like when we're teaching our students and someone has a question like that, that's why I love teaming up with you for classes, because I'm like, Virginia, and then you can jump in and like
Yeah.
give your, your 2 cents on it. But I know that you and we talk, like, I swear we talk like almost every day, right?
We do.
And I feel like the fun thing is that when we run into something in the mediumship world, right? We can reach out to the other person and be like, oh my God, I just had this happen. Like, have you ever had this happen before? What do you do? So I gotta say, with keeping anonymity intact, what is like the wildest, craziest thing you've like had happen to you as a medium?
In terms of like connection to a spirit person in the spirit, like during a reading or
Yeah.
um one of the craziest things that I ever experienced was I had a mom that I was reading for, and I was connecting her to her daughter in the spirit world. The family had an idea of who took their daughter's life or who was responsible for it, but they didn't know for sure. And so I was letting her kind of just at this point in time, like I didn't even know that her life was taken. I just knew she left tragically. She was kind of like leaving bits and pieces out because she was embarrassed about what happened. But the mom kind of spilled the tea in the middle of the reading and was like, is there any way you can get a name from her of someone who was responsible for this? And I was like, oh, I didn't know that's where I was going, but okay.
Yeah.
So I went back to the spirit person and I was like, can you give me any information for your family? You know, like, can you tell me anything about the person involved in this? She didn't tell me a name, but she told me that she used to work with him. And she told me I wasn't the only one. And so I said to the mom, she's saying that they work together. She's saying that she wasn't the only person that died from this. And the mom was like, oh my God, I know who it is. And I was like, she's like, it's exactly who we think it is. And I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
So 2 of her friends had actually passed within like the 3 weeks before her own passing, because they had all bought the same like tainted drugs from this same person. And she didn't know at the time that she had purchased them from, that was the connector. So
yeah,
it was just, that was like really eye-opening for me. It was at the beginning of my mediumship, and I like never forgot it because I was like, whoa, did I just help solve a mystery? Like, that's really cool. And
right.
also I could see the relief on the mom's face. Like, we knew it. We knew
Yeah.
it. So, but yeah, I don't think I'll ever forget that. I don't think I'll ever forget that. And then obviously, like my very first mediumship experience, I don't think I can ever forget because it's just so wild to me.
Yeah.
You know, I think you know it, but I actually like was in the middle of doing an oracle card reading for somebody, and I didn't know yet that I was a medium. But in the middle of the session, I could feel again like this like electrical feeling next to me, and it was almost like pulsating, like it
Yeah.
felt alive. And I'm like, that's interesting.
Yeah.
The woman started like talking about her mom and started talking about like how her mom had passed and she really missed her. And the feeling next to me was just getting like stronger and stronger and stronger. And I actually had like a physical materialization of a dime that happened. Uh, not during her reading, but during someone else's reading that was at my house the day before. And the date on the dime was the year that the mom had died, and dimes were her sign for her mom. So I didn't piece it all together until I actually had her sitting with me, right? But I always think about that too. I'm like, why did the mom do it the day before? Like, why didn't she do it like in the moment as I was with her daughter? And I'm like, they don't have the same time as us. So that makes sense to me that she would better be early than late or something, you know? I don't
Yeah.
know. But
It's crazy. It makes you think about energy so much because we go down the rabbit hole constantly and it starts to make you think, okay, well, is the situation and scenario, is it that they need to muster up so much like PK energy in order to
yeah,
do that so that by the time they're like, oh, I better get started now. So by the time the PK energy is ready to like matriculate the dime, it's coming, like whether it's early or late, you know what I mean? It's like, oh, I'm there. So it's like they're trying to like get the energy up to do it, to drop the dime, you know?
yeah,
Because that physicality, it's so wild, right? I can't imagine the amount of energy it must take the spirit world to produce something like that, you
physical,
know?
yeah.
Mhm.
I've kind of sat on this question for, you know, a couple of years now because I always think about that and I'm like, you know, what's their madness? Like how does this work? And the message that I kept getting about it is that there's multiple reasons why. But one of them was that the woman whose cards I was reading when it happened, that she needed to witness it. She
Uh-huh.
needed to see it happen.
Mhm. Mhm.
Because the next day when I had figured out who the dime actually belonged to and what it was for, I let the other lady take it home because I was like, I don't know what this dime means. Maybe you'll figure it out later. It's obviously something. Why don't you take it and think about it and let me know when you figured it out? And so I had contacted her and I was like, hey, I need that dime. I was like, I know what it means. I'll tell you the whole story and I'm really sorry. I need it back because the mom in spirit was telling me that I needed to.
Yeah. Yeah.
So but I think that woman needed to like, you know, and I know she
Be an
had,
act of God in order to believe it, really, you know?
yeah, yeah, I
Yeah.
really think so because both of her parents were on the other side and it was kind of sad too. She was like, I was really hoping that was for me. And I'm like, you know what? I think that you were meant to witness this. I think there's a reason for that. So
Yeah,
yeah.
definitely. I know the holidays are coming up, and I know it's such a hard time for people missing their loved ones and feeling that separation of their loved ones. Although I always, always tell every client who will listen, like there's literally no separation. It's just we feel it here in the physical world because that's part of the physicality of this
Right.
existence.
Right.
But there is no separation. They are not separated from us. But I feel like during the holidays and during this time, You have people who are a little more willing to open up that space and get a reading. But if I was to say to Virginia, what's the BOLO for the massive skeptic? Like, what would you say to people who are thinking they're open this time of year, but they're naturally like an extreme skeptic, maybe on the line of cynicism? Like, what would your announcement be to them before they even think about getting a reading?
I would say do your research and make sure that you understand who you're booking an appointment to go see for a reading. You should definitely be watching any work that they have online, reading reviews, making sure that they are reputable so that you're setting yourself up for success in the case that you end up walking away believing it, right? I would also say go with no expectations, but I know that a skeptic is going to question everything. So I would just say, like, come with the most open mind and the most open heart that you can possibly muster, and know that your loved one is aware of your skepticism and they're aware that you are desiring to connect with them. And I know that that loved one is going to do their very, very best to touch you in a way that only they can.
Yeah.
So it's like, that's all I could say, because I don't know, I guess, what they would choose to do, after that. But
yeah,
I think who you go see for a reading has a lot to do with the outcome,
Yeah, definitely. And I always say this too. I feel like, do you ever feel like you've gotten told stuff throughout mentorships or throughout learning mediumship that you don't really align with?
Oh, yeah,
Because
definitely.
I have one, and I think my main one is that when I've been taught it's never the sitter, it's always you. I'm like,
yes, girl.
okay. Like, oh, I don't know about that, because it's I think that the expectation of the average person who doesn't understand mediumship, I always try to go in and I tell the people I'm going to read for, like, mediumship is not this crazy magic trick. It's so human. It's so human. Like, we all have the ability to do it. So it's literally these tiny little bits and pieces of signs and symbols that we get that we have to figure out what they mean. It's not an open book where we're just, all this information. It's like a big giant projector screen. It doesn't work like that because it is so human, in my opinion. I don't feel like mediumship is some crazy otherworldly thing. I think it is fully human, and it comes through messy like humans. And I always tell them this, because I feel like if I tell them this, they're going to get it, and they're going to be like, oh, and their expectations may be different. And that is that your poor loved ones on the other side are literally stuck with the medium's reference bank that they got. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They're stuck with it. So if the medium they're working with doesn't have a reference for something you really want to hear, they're not going to bring it up. They have to. I say, look, I'm a Rolodex, a dusty old Rolodex, right? I've got all these little index cards of things that are in my awareness. And they're only going to be able to pull things out of my index cards that are in my awareness deck. Right. So if it's not in my awareness deck, they're not going to bring it up because it's going to go right over my head. Right. So there's no point for them to bring it up. So I always like to tell people, don't have an expectation or come in here like what you've said with your, like your little lottery ticket number that you want, or what's in my pocket sort of thing. God, yeah. Because, hey, I want to know your weird, obscure nickname that I've never heard in my life, but it's not going to come up because it's not in my reference bank. So the things that I do know, like, we talk about the fact that I'm really good with middle-aged men who have heart attacks, middle-aged men who are alcoholics, women who've died of cancer, young people who have passed away from an overdose. Like, I'm really good at that stuff. But, maybe I'm not as great at like picking up on a murderer, or maybe I'm not there's little tiny things. Like, maybe I don't hear the name, Esmeralda all the time, and your grandma's name was Esmeralda. So I may get a bunch of stuff, but I'm not going to get her name. So it's nice for people to understand that the reference bank has everything to do with what will and won't come through when you're getting a reading from a medium.
You are so smart to include that when you are sharing information about how you work and what to expect, because that is so true. I mean, God forbid I do a reading on someone who was a sports fanatic. Like, I'm screwed. I'm not going to get it. I'm sorry. I don't know anything about sports, and sometimes they'll show me, like I did a reading recently where I'm like, oh, he's talking to me about watching baseball. And I was like, oh, your kids played baseball. He's talking about your kids playing baseball. And she's like, my dad was a professional baseball player. I'm like, all right. But I'm telling you that that's probably as far as I was going to go, because I don't know anything about teams, names, mascots. I mean, it's just not what I do,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Now, can I learn? Sure, we all can, but you're right. There's almost like specialties that mediums have. And I think that the more that I learn about myself and how my ability works, I'm like, I have to do what I'm good at, because that's what makes me a good medium,
Mm-hmm.
And there are other mediums who probably played sports themselves and know everything about sports. And it's not me. So
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how people would know that about us before they book an appointment with us. But I think what you just said, like being open to what is going to come, because when we come into a reading and we're so dead set on, oh, I went to their grave this week and brought them flowers, I hope they talk about it. It's like, they might not talk about it.
Yeah.
And it's not because they weren't there, and it's not because they didn't see you, but it's because they might want to talk about other stuff.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
I agree. I think another thing that we had chatted about recently, which I think is important too, especially during the holidays when a lot of people may be more open to readings, is
Yeah.
let's talk about predatory mediumship. Let's talk
Yeah.
about that for a little bit. So, like, what types of things do you think people should look out for when it comes to a predatory medium? Things that are super red flags.
Yeah. I mean, one of the biggest red flags to me is something that I reached out to talk to you about this week. And that was that I had seen something on social media where there was a medium talking about their experience of giving a reading and something they came across in the reading, which in her interpretation was that the loved one she was connected to was stuck, and explained all about how she had to explain to the family receiving the reading that the loved one was there, but that they're stuck and that they aren't in a great place, and that she was going to bring them to the light during the mediumship session.
Mm-hmm.
And so to me, that is like a huge flag. And I know it's a concern for a lot of people, because there are so many mediums out there that maybe would believe that people can get stuck.
Mm-hmm.
But if any medium out there is leaving you feeling worse than how you came into a reading, if they are instilling fear in you, anxiety in you, if they are making you leave with more questions than answers, that is the biggest red flag to me.
Yeah, I agree.
Like, no matter what they're talking about, it's like our job is to do no harm. And
Yep, absolutely. I agree. And I feel like, I mean, I'll tell a quick story really quick about one that just blew me off my feet. So I had a client come to me once, and she wanted to connect with a couple of people on the other side. And she had told me she had previously gone to a medium who had told her someone in her family was going to die,
oh boy.
that her father was going to die, and that her grandfather was going to die. And so left her with this, oh yeah, your loved ones are going to die. Well, her dad did die and her grandpa did die.
Oh my gosh.
So she was like really upset. So she went back, and then the medium was like, oh, another person in your family is going to die. And she's like, who? And she's like, well, I'm not going to tell you. I can't tell you who it's going to be, but someone in your family is going to die. And so she was like, oh my God, she was like, obviously all up in arms. Well, her sister ended up getting murdered by the boyfriend, right? And so she was so angry for so long because she thought if that medium had just told me, I could have saved my sister's life.
Right.
And I told her, I said, you know what? I said, what would have ended up happening is you would have pulled your sister out of that. You would have brought your sister to your home with your child, your son,
Put
and you,
yourself in danger.
and all three of you would be dead right now. All
Yeah.
three of you, because he wasn't going to stop. He
Yeah.
wasn't going to go away. And so she was so angry about that. And then she told me that the medium was calling her at 3 a.m, telling her, your loved ones won't leave me alone. Tell them to get away from me and all this stuff. Like, just the most outrageous, unhinged, crazy stuff that I've ever heard. But if a medium's telling you someone's going to die, a medium is telling you that your loved one's stuck and for another more bigger price, oh, you have a curse on you, you know, you have bad energy and I'll remove it for $1,500, or you know,
you have a curse.
You have a curse. Right. And there's so much of that goes on. And I think there's a lot of mediums out there. And I know that you and I have a different belief system. I know that you and I do not believe in spirits being stuck. I know that that's just not our belief. So people will say, well, why? Because I have talked to other mediums who do believe that.
Right.
And like I said to you the other night, I can't wrap my head around the understanding or belief that we're told that our lessons are human lessons. So we're put into the human world to learn these human lessons that we have to learn here, right?
Right.
So how are you going to learn the human lessons being put in some purgatory where you don't even know where you're at after you die? Like, why?
Right.
What would be the purpose of you being stuck in this limbo place? Oh, well, they didn't know they died. They didn't this and that and da 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 da. Okay, well, why wouldn't the universe just come scoop them up and take them to the afterlife?
Right.
Because what lessons are you going to learn without your human form? That's the whole point, right?
Right. Right.
Yeah.
And I think from everything we know about working with spirit, working with the spirit world, our connection to the divine source, God of our own understanding, whatever we want to call it, the love is so unexplainable, really, that I cannot imagine a experience where we come here and our time is up and it's like, you're going to stay here. You don't get to come to the spirit world. Like, what?
Yeah.
So maybe for anyone listening who's like, well, then what do you believe about that? Maybe we should explain it so people kind of have like a different perspective or can think about it in another way. But it's interesting because ever since you and I talked about it the other day, and I guess I'll let you explain it first. There's so many parts to us. Like think about you and think about all the different how multifaceted you are in your personality and your quirks, your habits. Like maybe you are different, you know, maybe you're more comfortable with certain people and certain people you're more reserved, or, you know, like we are multifaceted beings. We're not just like one person, one soul. Like it's this one compact thing. It's like a kaleidoscope, right? There's all different colors to us. There's all different parts to us. And so it makes sense to me that there could be a part of us that would feel unresolved, or a part of us that wouldn't be ready to leave here for some reason, you know, but maybe explain like what your take is on that with a part being left behind for whatever reason it would be.
Right. So I truly believe that when we experience a haunting or an intelligent haunt, or someone's like, oh, I know that I saw this person. I know I was in their energy. You're not going to tell me I'm wrong. And they weren't on the other side. They said that they were stuck. I feel like what is being experienced is a fragmented piece of the soul. or an egregore that was created by the energy of that soul. So it's one of the two things. So an egregore, like Sylvia Brown calls it something else, like a tulp, or I think it's called like a tulp. So that's like your energy is pouring in this PK energy to the space, your trauma. Think of when you're really, really upset, like how your phone starts glitching or your electronics start glitching. That's like
I've
PK
broken
energy,
plates.
right? So it's like your energy, it pours into this space and becomes palpable. Why wouldn't some of that stick around and act as though it's you? Because it really is a part of you, an angry soul, or the angry part of you, or the traumatized, sad, depressed part of you, or why wouldn't that stick behind? So I feel like the soul is massive. I don't even feel like our full soul is in this body. I feel like
I don't either.
I mean, and Martin even says things that makes me go, oh my God, maybe our soul's split up in a billion, right? And we're all, because time isn't linear. So we're in every life that we've ever had or going to have is all happening right now.
Yeah.
Because there's no time. It's all happening right now. So say I've had 47 lives, all of them are happening right now. Say a little piece of the soul is in every single one of those lives. And then you also have your higher self, right? So I don't feel like the whole soul is even in this body. So when you go back to the spirit world, maybe there's a tiny little fragmented piece that stays behind that would like to resolve something or isn't ready yet. And then once it resolves that little tiny fragmented energetic piece that's behind, then it reintegrates with the whole soul, right? So I feel like what people might be experiencing is that fragmented piece of the soul, but then the ego comes into play. And they're like, I'm the savior. I'm going to save this spirit. Watch me save this spirit. Right.
Yeah.
So I think that what ends up happening sometimes is I think people get into their ego space and start wanting to be the savior. Look at what I did. I saved this soul. So I feel like people should stop and ask themselves, is that really what's going on here? Or do I want to believe that it's the whole soul so that I can be the savior? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I have a really hard time thinking that it would be a responsibility placed on us as human beings to help a chunk of us that could potentially be here for some reason, that it would need escorting by a human being to the spirit world.
Right.
And you and I both know that when we go to spirit, we have free will. We have free will here as in a human experience. We have free will in the spirit world. They show us that all the time when they decide who's going to come forward, when they talk to us, what they choose to talk about, when they choose to show up 3 hours early for me before I have a reading. Like, they are their own free thinking, they make their own choices just like we do. So if someone is choosing to be here for some reason, or a part of them is choosing to be here, I just don't know that we are the ones that are responsible for that healing.
Agreed. It seems a little bit, I don't want to call it convoluted, but I get what you're saying. Why would us in our human form, which sometimes I don't want to call it being lesser. I just feel like we're kind of dumbed down a little bit in our human form. So
we're students here, we're students. We're just in earth school. So what would make us qualified to do that, I guess,
Yeah, I agree with that. I agree. So I feel like there is an explanation, in my opinion, for why someone would feel like, well, I know that this soul is here. I know I talked to them. I experienced it. I'm sure you absolutely did.
Yeah.
But is it a fragmented piece of the soul and not the whole soul? And I always give this example, right? My friend TJ, who you've brought through for me multiple times.
Yeah.
Passed away from an overdose, and he had a really rough life. I mean, he went through a lot of stuff. He, he didn't really come to terms with things before he passed. He was still struggling with stuff, and so could somebody hear about the guy who passed away in the apartment unit or wherever he was living at the time, wherever he was renting, and say, oh my God, a guy, he passed away here. We should go in and investigate. Could they find something on their EVP recorder or ghost box session that could seem like it's TJ, sound like TJ, be TJ somehow? Yeah. But
Mhm.
is it TJ? No, because he comes to me all the time. He cracks jokes with me. He pops in on me constantly. He comes to me in my dream form. And I've had multiple of my medium friends bring him through very, very clearly. So he
Yeah.
can't be in both places if that's the belief that they're stuck and it's the whole person. So how would they explain that someone might be able to find something in that space where he passed away? But
Yeah.
I know for a fact he's on the other side. So I have to kind of bring forward that piece to explain why I feel the way I feel, so that
Yeah.
there's some sort of like example there. You know what I mean?
It could be too, let's say they do go there and find something or get some kind of proof of energy. It could be an imprint,
Mhm.
it could be the last part of his energy that was imprinted into that space. I mean, if somebody takes their own life in an apartment, I can't imagine the emotions that they're going through, their mentality that they're going through. I mean, that's some
Mhm.
really traumatic, heavy stuff and
Mhm.
big emotions to feel. And yeah, we know that when we live in a house or a space or on land, like things that happen there don't leave. There
Mhm.
are there is an imprint that gets embedded there.
Yeah.
And it doesn't mean it's his soul, but it could be part of what his experience was is left behind.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. I absolutely believe that for sure. We have a question. Do you believe everyone passes away in their exact timing, or do you believe some leave before their timing? Do you want to answer this first, Virginia, or do you want me to?
Sure. I think that there's multiple exit points. I don't know that every single person has like their time. I think that again, we have free will. I think that when we come here, I think we come with a map, but we don't necessarily come with directions. So it's up to us to decide the path that we're going to take, the experiences we're going to have, whether or not we're going to go to that party at 9 o'clock at night and get hit by a drunk driver.
Mhm.
So I don't think that everything's predestined. I think that there are multiple options. And unfortunately, sometimes I think things just happen and they weren't planned to, or it might not have been their time, but it's just part of the experience that ends up happening.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a good viewpoint on it. I feel like mine has kind of changed throughout time. And I'm always so careful about the way that I say this, because when you're dealing with a grieving person, and I know if it was me, I might not want to hear that the person chose it before they came here, because how cruel can that sound to someone who has lost their loved one in such a tragic way, that they
Right.
would leave their family like that or do that to their family, you know what I mean?
That's what James Van Prague says, is he says that everything is predestined, including how we leave. And I'm like, I don't know if I believe that. I don't think everything's so set in stone.
Yeah.
I have a
Yeah.
really hard time grasping that.
I think that I wasn't quite sure what to think about it, and I thought maybe I was like, well, maybe because I believed in I believe in soul contracts in an aspect, right? So is the way that we die also a part of that soul contract? But then I read "Dying to Be Me" by Anita Moorjani, and it changed my opinion. It was like, wow, and then you start to think, okay, well, does everybody really have that choice when they get to the other side and choose to stay on the other side? Or do only some people get that choice when they go to the other side? Like, you can stay dead or you can come back. So we're talking about NDEs, like near death
Right.
experiences. So I wonder, does everybody get that choice, or only some people offered that choice? And it's just kind of a rabbit hole, I think, that you go down, you know? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think too, I mean, I'm sure that they're presented with like, hey, if you do choose to come back, this is going to be your circumstances. You
Mhm.
won't ever walk again. You might not be able to talk. You might be a vegetable in a bed. And so maybe
Mhm.
the soul is like, forget it. I'm gonna stay here.
Yeah.
I mean, we
Yeah.
just don't know for sure. And I think that it's healthy to have questions. I think it's healthy for us to say as mediums, like, we don't know.
Mm-hmm.
We don't know, because we don't know everything. And if you ever have a medium that says they know everything, I feel like that's another red flag.
Yeah, huge red flag. I
Yeah.
always say that too. It's like if someone's like, it works like this, and then it takes 20 days to, and it's like, what? How do you know?
Yeah.
Like you just get all the information, and the rest of us are bums. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
but I feel like, yeah, and I that's interesting. That's an interesting viewpoint. Like, okay, well, here's like a choice. It kind of reminds me of this near-death experience of this woman that I saw. This one was on a Josh Gates program, and she said that she was on the other side. She had been underwater for a long time. She was white river rafting, and her raft had turned over on her, and she was underwater for 20 minutes.
Wow.
And she went to the other side, and they told her, you have to go back now. It's not your time. They told her that her son would die when he was 18 years old.
Oh my God.
Like, and then he did, like, in a car accident right after his 18th birthday. And I'm just like, oh my God, what a strong woman to come back just to live her life for the child who needed her, even though she knew she was going to lose him. Like, the choices that you're faced with, I think that some of the stories, it's like you're thrust into this like question of how selfless are you?
Yeah.
Like, what's the more important thing here? That your
Yeah.
son has you for the 18 years that he's going to be here, and, it's just wild to think that you're supplied with that sort of choice or something on the other side. The near death experiences can get wild. I also heard about one that the guy was dead for 3 days. He was in the morgue and he came
Wow.
back. Yeah, in the morgue, 3 days dead. Came back, no brain damage, no nothing. Like,
What?
right? It's wild. Some of these NDEs that I hear about just make you think, oh my God. And then you just start going down the rabbit hole. Like, what if it's like this? And what would cause this? And why that? It's just crazy. It's
Well,
crazy to me.
and even like Anita Morjani, you were just talking about her book, which is called Dying to Be Me. If anyone wants to read it, it's really great.
Mhm.
She has cancer, right, Brooke? It's been a
Yep.
minute since I've read it. So she has cancer. And when she comes back from her coma, or I think they might have put her in a coma, she's like fully healed and they like can't find the cancer anywhere. And that's, it's crazy enough that we know that people have experiences that are documented where they're going to the other side and coming back. But like, how is a human body being miraculously healed?
Healed.
Like, no
Mhm.
trace of anything.
Right. Right.
It's
And it's
wild.
wild.
It's
It's so
wild.
wild because, and then you hear the rhetoric that she's having on the other side, where she comes to this realization that she's like, believes that she did this to herself. She
Yeah.
believes she gave herself cancer through not loving herself and doubting herself and not honoring herself and all of these things. It's like she was being told on the other side, like, like you haven't loved yourself, you haven't done, you can fix this. And it's just crazy because she came back and she knew her cancer was gone and tried to tell them, and they were doing all of these really painful tests because they were like, what? You were dying yesterday and you were riddled with cancer. I mean, every organ was shut down.
It's like
How do you
literally
not?
not possible. Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy. And it makes you think, okay, well, can we all heal ourselves? What gave her the tools? Why did she get the answers? And then it's like, there's other books. My mom read one about this guy. He was a doctor and he had broken his
I
spine
have
in
it.
like do you?
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah. He like broke his spine in a bunch of places, right? And then he like had nothing better to do than to sit there in meditation for like months and he healed himself. They said he would never walk again.
I don't know that I have that one. I have the one about the neurosurgeon that has an NDE, and he's like a complete skeptic, like has no belief system whatsoever. And then he has an NDE and comes back. And yeah, his body, he had like, I think his name's Eben Alexander, and the book is, I can't think of it off the top of my head, but it's so good. I think he had meningitis that had completely like gotten in his spine. It had like taken over, like it was killing him. Completely healed, you know? So it just gives you a teeny tiny little peek into how powerful we may actually be and how powerful the spirit world is and their ability to help us heal. Like it just really makes you think like, what do we even know?
Yeah.
Like,
right?
What do we even know? What are we doing?
Right.
Right.
It's like, oh, you piddly humans.
I know. And we're over here like on all these drugs, like big pharma. It's like, do we know anything? I don't know.
It's crazy. I tell you, it's just wild. It's nuts. And there's so many experiences like that out there that you can read about that are just absolutely wild. And it just takes you down a rabbit hole. Even us as mediums, it's like, oh God, what is it? What's the answer? It looks like I know we as spirits are here for the human experience, but why? I feel like it would be a lot more fun to be spirit. You can float and soar through space and dive into clouds. You know what I mean? Yes, I feel like my take on it personally is that this, like Virginia said earlier, this is a school. So your soul can grow and it can have deeper understandings, more like closer to what we would call, what's that, like perfect state? It's like utopia or something like that.
Euphoria.
Yeah. So it's like you can choose your lessons, come here to this world and like your soul start to take those lessons and level up. So I like, if you're talking about Akashic records, which is like a whole nother subject, but if you haven't heard of Akashic records, it's like what? It's, how do you describe that? It's everything of all times, it's a giant library of all of existence.
Yeah.
Right. Everything that ever existed, everything that ever is going to exist. And so it's like a medium can tap into the Akashic record space and pull records, so to speak, right? So when I'm talking to my friend Liz, who does my Akashic records, she says that there's like the soul ranges from one level to another. It's like, I think it starts at like 3 or something and ends at like 7 or so. I don't know. I'd have to ask her. But like every lifetime you just like inch up a little more, and some lifetimes are bigger steps than others, just kind of depending on the lessons or how many lessons you choose for one lifetime, right? So and I wish I had the answer for that too, because I feel like we don't know, like we come here like, oh shit, you know what I mean? Like I don't want to do this, or like this is too much. But there's something that our soul knows that our human self does not know. There's a knowledge that they have, our soul has, that us in our human form does not have. So what's your kind of take on it, Virginia?
Yeah, I think that we need to come here so that we can experience things that we wouldn't be able to experience in the spirit world. We get to experience having a body. That's not something we have in the spirit world. Think about all the things that come with having a body alone. Okay. We're talking like feeling pain, feeling extreme joy, being able to run or swim or hold a baby, make a baby. I mean, having sex, that's not something we do in the spirit world. So just like we have these whole range of experiences with our body alone that we get to have, and it just intensifies and deepens our growth as a human being. And that's just one aspect of it. But think about like your relationships and the friendships that you make here and the hard things that you come here and have to deal with and overcome, and the challenges. Those are all things that you would not be able to experience if you were a spirit. I mean, you wouldn't understand it to the capacity that you are right now.
Yeah.
So I think that we come here to gain knowledge, understanding, and experience so that we can ultimately grow as a soul. Because if we don't have that growth, then we're just staying in the same place,
Yeah, definitely. I just had a thought and then it left my mind. I'm like, oh, No, come back. But when you were like talking about like this is what it is. Also, in the spirit world, we don't get individuality. I think people don't realize that. So to experience individuality, you need the physical world, because even in the book with Anita Morjani, she experiences being her dad on the other side, being her friend who died of cancer. She became them. So the collective consciousness, I think that's real. And I think more than one person I've read in an NDE, how you blend into this, like you blend into you're everyone. Everyone is
You're part of
everyone.
everyone. Yeah.
Yeah. So to experience individuality, you have to come to the physical world. And I bet you individuality might be very intriguing for a spirit, for being in the spirit world. Ooh, individuality. I don't have to be blended with everyone all the time. I wonder what
Yeah.
that's like,
You can figure out who you are,
Yep.
what you like,
Mm-hmm.
and
Yeah.
who
Yeah.
you are without other people. Like, think about people that come here, they got so enmeshed and intertwined with other people that they, think about like empaths. They think that they're having their own experience when they're really taking on the experiences of other people. It's like, we have to learn how to, sever our energy from other people so that we can know who we really are.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Because every single piece of us builds the collective consciousness, and I feel like we each need each teeny tiny little itty bitty piece of every single person who comes here and has that individuality. I think that gains something for the collective as a whole. You know what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So with like all the holiday times coming and there's obviously can be a really, really hard time for people, right? What would you say to someone who is so wanting to feel their loved one or feel some kind of connection to them? What would you say to them? What would you recommend they try to do so that they can create their own connection and feel some peace this time of year?
Yeah. I feel like the one thing I tell people, because it's a very simple thing and most people don't do it, is sitting in the silence. Slow down. Just slow down. Put on some music that your loved one liked to listen to and put the ornaments on the tree. And don't think about anything else other than the ornaments on the tree. Pick one up. What does it mean? Was it your mom's? She's probably with you in that very moment as you put that ornament on the tree. It's about slowing down and grounding so that you can really feel when they are close to you. Because if you're in like this race mind, this mindset of go, 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 thinking of the past, thinking of the future, thinking of everything you have to do, you are going to miss the signs and symbols. They are all around you, but you have to slow down and
Yeah.
breathe to feel them.
Yeah. Yeah. I had a student, I was teaching a class yesterday, and a student said to me, "Do you do all this meditation time before you come teach a class or before you do a reading, or do you just go cold turkey?" That's what she said. And I was like, honestly, I used to. I was like, I don't anymore. And she was like, how do you do that? And I said, I think that I've built such a strong relationship with spirit. I trust spirit so much that people don't realize that we're already connected. We're always connected. I mean, we may not be actively trying to connect to a spirit person, but the spirit world is always connected to us. They can be with us at any moment. And so for me personally, I don't have to get into this space where I'm like sitting in silence for 30 minutes to connect, right? I'm not saying that that's a bad idea, because I think if you have a hard time slowing down and being still and paying attention to your surroundings, that you do need to learn how to kind of, hone in on that and quiet it. But people think we're so disconnected. That's, I guess, my whole point of saying that is like, we are spirit. We're just in a human body, and they don't have a body, but we are them and they are us. So it's like that connection's always there. And I wish people knew that, because the thing that honestly like pains me the most, it makes me really sad. Every time I do a reading and at the end of the reading, the person says, tell them I love them. Tell them tell me how many times you've heard that.
All the
A
time.
million, right? Me too. Every time. Tell them I love them. Tell them I miss them so much. It's like, you just did.
Yeah.
That's what I say. I said, you just did. And it's because you literally just did. Like, I am not here with them having this conversation, just me and them. Like, you are a part of this conversation and they are here with us right now, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
So I just wish people knew that. And I wish people would understand that a little bit more, that we're not as disconnected as people think we are, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sometimes like when I read, I will just say to myself, I'm not nervous because I already have the information because I am them and they are me. We're one. Yep. So I'm already privy to the information. I just have to go get it now. I just have to open up and receive that now because I already have it. So I think when people are doing mediumship and they're worried about connecting, it's like, you have to remember we're a collective consciousness. You're already that person and they're part of you. You have the information already. So just trust that and move into it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I was telling people that if they came in, we would try to double link and do one quick reading for everybody. Do you want to do that before I kind of have you tell everybody where they can find you and what you're doing and what you're up to? Yes. Okay. Okay. So guys, stay here. We are going to go spirit led. So that means we are going to connect to someone on the other side. It could be your person, so don't leave. Okay. Let's see. How do you want to go first, Virginia? Do you want to start? Do you want me to start? You're the guest, so I just whatever you want to do.
Okay. Let me bring someone in and we'll see who we have.
Okay.
So I'm actually getting two different spirit people coming forward, and I feel like there's somebody listening who has lost their mom and their dad, because I have a mom and a dad coming through together. And I do know that the person that they're here for would have been very close to their parents and would have taken care of them in their last days, especially with dad's showing me that he would have been very sick, very ill, but I see them almost being like a caregiver for dad. And he's saying, I need to tell my daughter, I just heard, so I feel like this is for a woman. I need to tell my daughter that I'm okay. And I need to thank her for taking care of me. He just said to me.
So if you guys understand that if you understand all that information as your information, because these could be your loved ones on the other side, just say it in the chat and I will pop up that response. So it's funny you said that because I kind of felt that too, but I felt like the mom would have died from like cancer is what it feels like to me.
I feel more connected in with the dad, but it's like, I know she's here because I can feel her.
Right. Okay. All right. Let's see here. So anybody understand that? Parents on the other side, dad would have needed extra help towards the end, especially you would have cared for him. Mom and dad both passed. If so, put it in the chat for us. And sometimes it's a little slow going, guys. So just bear with us because sometimes the chat is a little tricky. It's a little bit tricky here. So just put your stuff in the chat and then we'll bring you up, bring up each comment that correlates. So I feel like I'm connected to a woman who would have passed away from like a cancer related issue. She feels like she would have been like in her, I feel like late 50s, early 60s when she passed away. Yeah.
He definitely feels older to me than she does.
Yeah. Okay. So he would have passed away after her, you believe?
Yeah.
Okay. Anybody recognize this so far? A woman who would have passed away, cancer, also a dad on the other side. So mom passed away of cancer, a dad passed away of cancer. Grandparents, but raised me like my parents. Okay, let's see here. Let's put this up. So grandparents, but raised me like, so you died of cancer. Grandmother died of cancer. Okay. So we may be with you, Shelby. Perfect. Stick with us. I I keep seeing a small dog on the other side as well with a woman. He keeps jumping up on her leg. So I know that she's telling me that there would be a small dog that would be with her as well. And then Virginia, anything you're getting, just lay it on me. Lay it on me.
Shelby, I feel like they're talking to me about you, not only you, but I feel like there's a brother. So I feel like they would have raised not only you, but I'm getting like you and a brother. So let us know if you would understand that. They're just saying to me, like, you were like our children. You were like our children. And I see your parents not being very present in your life, and your grandparents are speaking to me about the joy that they had by being able to raise you and your brother. And I see you guys growing up with them in like more of a role setting. So I don't know if you would understand them living in a farm or having a little bit of like acreage or something like that. But I'm seeing this setting that they just feel like salt of the earth. Like, I'm going to say maybe even from the Midwest, they just feel really like down home, amazing, good people. They said, we had a really simple life, but we were able to provide for you and give you everything you needed. And we just loved the life that we had with you. That's what I'm getting.
Yeah. I'll wait for her response on that. I'm going to tap in a little bit too. I feel like grandma keeps showing me roses. So I know that there's someone either named Rose or there. So she says yes on everything you're saying, Virginia. Yay. But I know that there's someone named Rose, or there's something about roses. And I keep seeing rose petals being like pulled off the roses. So I feel like there's something about making some sort of rose water with petals, or some sort of like scented. It's like a potpourri, but I feel like it's for different uses. So I feel like she's talking about that because I can smell it. And I feel like you would probably still smell that of her. It feels like herbs and roses. And it's like this really cool scent. It's almost like incense-ish, but it's not all the way incense. And she makes me feel like that would have been something that she would have created by her own hand. Great granddaughter mine named Rides, but she used to cleanse with rose water. Okay. So you should cleanse with rose water. Okay. That makes a lot of sense. Yeah, go for it, Virginia, whatever you're getting.
I was just going to say, when you were talking about the roses or the potpourri, I was getting like cigarette smoke, and I was seeing, this could be Shelby's brother, because I see him out in the driveway, and I feel like he's fixing a motorcycle. Like, I can see the motorcycle kind of like propped up, like he's working on it. And I see him like smoking cigarettes, and grandpa's in the garage kind of just like tinkering around out there, like talking to your brother. So let me know if you would understand this. I feel like I'm looking at a memory in time of just what it would be like with everyone kind of hanging out.
Yeah, I smelled the smoke so hard too, Virginia, when we first started. I was like, oh, it's so heavy. It wasn't even like fresh smoke. It was like ashtray smoke smell for me. I was like, oh. Oh my gosh. I feel like I also want to talk about the number 4 being significant. So this is going to be the 4th or the month of April. So this is a birthday, or I feel like it's birthday because I just saw a diamond, and that's the birthstone for April. So I feel like April. Oh, she was the smoker. Oh. I'm like, I keep smelling ashtray. She was the smoker. I see the month of April though. I keep seeing the number 4. So I know that that's going to be significant. She's talking to me about a W name. It's like Wesley or so. That's weird. I don't get that name very often. So would you understand like a W name, like Wesley or something like a little offbeat like that with a W name? So my grandmother passed on my grandfather's birthday in April. Okay, that makes a lot of sense. So grandpa's birthday is the April birthday. And that's also when your grandma passed. Okay. Thank you for validating that, honey. I'm so sorry. Oh, that must have been hard for him, because he does make me feel, he's making me feel like she was really important to him, but she was like, wore the pants. I feel like she feels really strong to me. Will is my uncle. Okay. Will isn't an offbeat name. Why am I getting a weird W name? So Will is your uncle?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's interesting.
And I just got an and, so I want to know if there's like an and that's connected in. but grandma's talking to me, and I feel like this time of year she would have loved to. She's kind of taking me around her kitchen and she's showing me all these things that she's making for Christmas, but I feel like I'm looking at like homemade candy, like caramels that are like twisted in wax paper, and I'm seeing like fudge and like things in tins. And I want to know, Shelby, if you would understand that you still make some of the candy that grandma made, because she's saying that you do. Like, I feel like you have her recipes. I feel like you still, she's saying she doesn't go all out and do it the way that I did, but she tries. And she makes me feel like there's at least one thing that you attempt to make this time of year in memory of grandma. But she's so loving that you still do this tradition. I feel like it's a big deal. And your grandma's showing me that she would have brought tins of treats to like the neighbors and people at church. And she was just so giving and had such like a giving heart. And she's saying that you do the same thing. She said, you're so good at taking care of the people that you love. She used to love to make Spanish peanut nougat. Yeah. And this is something that you still make, because she's like loving that you still do. So yeah, you try to make her flan. Oh, that's cute. Yeah. She's really into like the sweets. Like, I feel like she's got a big sweet tooth, and she's just like going on and on about all these like recipes this time of year that she remembers. So yeah.
Shelby, she wants to just really quick. I think, I hope I'm not cutting you off, Virginia, but
no, it's good.
No, she's taking me back to her passing, and she's making me feel like she wants people to not show, like, don't you feel sorry for me? She makes me feel like, um there's something about her last conversation that she has with you, and I feel like it has something to do with like, don't let them see you sweat, don't let them see you cry, something of that nature, about like being really strong. And she keeps showing me like white candles. I just see the wax, like it's just so much wax. You know, when you like burn candles and they're just an individual candle and the wax comes down, it looks so cool. She's just showing me these white candles with this wax that just like pours down the side. And she says, like, don't feel sorry for me. Don't you feel sorry for me? No tears. And she's making me feel like she comes from like a really long line of strong people, strong women. And I feel like she's talking about you being the same. Okay, perfect. She's just like, no crying, no sorry for me. But she also makes me feel like she would have left behind. It literally looks like a ring with one giant gem in the middle. And I feel like there's something about rubies as well. This is not a traditional ring. This has red in it. So she's talking to me about that being important, like almost important to like her ancestry or her culture or something like that as well. Yeah.
I'm just seeing, sorry, bro, go ahead.
No, it's just like, I just see ruby, like ruby. Yes, I have it in a jewelry box. Perfect. Okay.
I'm seeing like gold chains, and I feel like I am holding like a cross, like a gold cross, like a little petite, pretty one too. So I feel like that is something she would have worn, because she's making me feel like I have all these like neck gold chains on, like really delicate, pretty ones. And I feel like that's something she would have left with you as well. So there's something really special about your relationship with, her rosary. Okay. There's something really special about the relationship with Grandpa Shelby, and he's wanting me to tell you something about, now, would you understand that there's something about your parents that your grandpa is wanting me to say, and he's wanting me to say this in a way where he's like, I'm not talking bad about anybody, but he's like, it was my duty to take care of you and protect you. And that's something he took very seriously. And he's just saying, I'm so glad that we made the decision to raise you. So I feel like that's something Grandpa doesn't super want me to get into in terms of like your parents and what happened, because he is kind of more private when it comes to those details. But he's just saying, I'm so glad everything worked out and I wouldn't have had it any other way. That's what he wants me to convey to you. So if there's ever been, he's telling me that if there's ever been any part of you that like felt like a burden or felt like, I don't know, bad about anything, he was like, it was like my pleasure to love on you and like take care of you the way that I did my own kids, kind of a thing. So he's like extremely protective over you.
Oh,
I feel like I'm their parent. I always worry about what I'd turn out had they raised me. Yeah. He does not want you to worry about any of that. He's like, rest assured, like we loved raising you and like it was a joy for us. So don't feel bad about anything. It's not your fault. He just wants me to say that.
I love that.
Yeah.
And one last thing, Shelby, dizzy spells. So they don't want you ignoring the dizzy spells. I feel like it comes from the base of your neck and then up the back of your head. And then there's dizzy spells. So he's talking about that. And he wants to make sure that you're not ignoring it. Okay. But like no one want, oh, honey, passed around when they got fed up. Oh, girls. Girl, stop. Is that happening to you, Shell? Because he tells me that there's dizzy spells and it comes from the back of your neck up the back of your head and then it hits you and you just don't feel good and you feel dizzy. And he doesn't want you to ignore that. So he's like, just get it checked out. It's better to get it checked out. Just see what's going on. Okay.
And I'm going to say this to not scare you, but I just heard be careful of the ice.
Yeah. Yeah, it's always nice to have the warning, right? Because you never know. It's nice to have the warning ahead of time, right?
I feel like one of them would have fallen at some point. So I feel like they're just looking out for you and they're like, be careful of the ice.
Oh, snap. Okay. The girls stop again.
Yeah.
I'm moving to Indiana. Okay. All right.
Yeah. Just be careful. Just watch your back.
Yourself. Yeah, for sure. So we're going to leave you with your grandparents' love and messages and everything else. And thank you for validating that information for us and letting us read for you tonight.
Thanks, Shelby.
Yeah,
they're so cute. Thank you for letting us read for you.
I know. I love it. They're awesome. I always love reading with you, Virginia. It's like the best time ever. So
I know this was fun.
Yeah, definitely. So this is the end of the show. So what I'm going to do is, Virginia, tell people where they can find you, where they can get readings from you. What are you doing? Can they see you in person? All of it.
Yes. So I have a couple different things going on. If you want to follow me, this is where I update the most of all my happenings. So my Instagram is where I'm the most active, and my handle there is @morningmoonmedium. I have it underneath my name here. This is where you can find my link in my bio for my website to book readings. I post all my classes and workshops. I do have a in-person gallery event next weekend at Moon Beach Crystals in Leander, Texas. So if anyone's local to the Austin area, I still have a couple tickets left for that. And I will be bringing through messages for people in the audience. So I'm really excited for that. And you can find that info on my website as well. And then I have a couple classes I'm teaching in January. I'll be teaching a class called You Are Psychic, and it's for people with no experience. And it's just to show people that everyone's psychic and everyone has clairs and the capability to read energy. So we'll be doing all different exercises and experimenting and trying and seeing what clairs you actually have and how your own unique individual ability works. So that's just like a one-day workshop. So that'll be in January. And then I'm also co-teaching a class in January called Meet Your Spirit Guides. So if spirit guides are on your radar and that's something that you've been wanting to explore, I'll be co-teaching that with my friend Brittany, who's also a psychic medium. And that info can also be found on my website. So
awesome. Yeah. Thank you so much for coming, Virginia. It's always like a breath of fresh air talking to you and chatting with you. It doesn't feel like work ever. And it's It's great. So thank you so much for blessing my amazing audience with your beautiful, beautiful gifts. And we will see you guys later this month on Spector and Spooks podcast for another episode with another special guest. So stay tuned for that. And thank you all for being here tonight. And we will see you next time. Bye, everyone.